This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. Youpreneur! Oh my gosh! Please welcome my next guest, the awesome and amazing original Youpreneur, Chris Ducker.
That was good. That had energy behind it. There was a certain amount of furiousness in the voice.
Yes, anger.
I like it. I'm looking and I'm liking, as they say. It's good to be with you, brother.
It is great to be with you. So literally, we had a beautiful 20-minute conversation before flipping on the mics, and we could have kept on going for several hours. So ordinarily, of course, these episodes on The Speaking Show are about 25 to 30 minutes. This time, my friends, pack a lunch. It's going to be a 3-hour marathon. Chris is going to have to clear his calendar for the rest of the day. Kidding, just kidding. Everyone can relax. We're going to keep this tight, but we may have to have Chris back for part 2, the revenge. All right.
There you go.
So Youpreneur is a movement. Youpreneur is a book. Youpreneur is a program. I want to hear all about Youpreneur, but before we get to that, paint us a little quick sketch of your professional journey and what brought you to the work that you're doing today.
Good one. Well, my entire career, I've been in sales and marketing. That's all I've ever done ever since I was 17. I started working at Auto Trader, selling classified ads over the phone, part-time. And it was kind of like in between exams wrapping and getting ready to go to university, decided kind of like at that point that I'd rather make money and not go to university, much to my father's dismay. And so he didn't talk to me for 3 months, but I did go full-time in sales and didn't go to university, never went to university or college, and just went all in on sales. And, it started out in the telemarketing and the telesales world. Went right the way through to event sales, exhibition sales, infomercial sales. Worked with, great guys over the years, like, Kevin Harrington and those guys in the made-for-TV world. And yeah, it's always been sales and marketing, sales and marketing, sales and marketing. And then probably around 2004, 2005, I kind of wrapped my last consultation position. And I'd been doing very, very high-level consult work with people in the infomercial game. There's one particular guy actually in Miami that I was with for about 18 months, pretty much exclusively with. He was a lovely guy to work for, but he was a real nightmare of a guy to be around kind of long-term. And I said to myself, you know what? The floor seats at the Heat games are great and all that sort of fun stuff, but I'm kind of over this. It's time. It's time to scratch the itch that had been there for a while, and went back and figured out I was going to open up my first business, which was the Live to Sell Group, which is a call center. It's still rocking and rolling now, all these years later. In fact, actually, I just had my annual review with my financial director for that company, and she just told me we're about 6 months away from hitting our $35 million in revenue mark since the day we opened the doors, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy that it's been that long and that we've had that much revenue come through the doors. Now, I want to caveat that by saying it sounds super duper impressive. And it is, don't get me wrong. But when you run a company with 300 plus employees for the majority of that time, your overheads are ridiculous as well. So, the margins are unfortunately not as big as most people probably think they are, but still done pretty good, that company. Then we've got Virtual Staff Finder, which is a VA matchmaking service. That's been rocking and rolling for 11 years now. We've had over 8,000 people utilize the service to hire their VA out of the Philippines, which is phenomenal. That's still going. And then 2015, Youpreneur was born. And that really came out of kind of like 5 or 6 years of blogging and podcasting and just kind of charting my own journey, so to speak, trying to remove myself from these businesses and become a virtual CEO. And then over time, people started coming to me, hey, are you available for coaching? Or are you available to speak? Or is there going to be another book in the works? And, can you teach us how to build? And this was the first time I heard the phrase, really, a personal brand. I was like, personal brand? Let me have a look into this stuff. So it's probably around like 2014, it really started to hot up for me. And that was when I kind of started to lean into the idea of, reputation management and kind of like getting serious about helping people, particularly people heading into midlife, capitalizing on their expertise, their experience, their uniqueness, their personalities, that kind of thing. And that's where Youpreneur was born. So Youpreneur basically is a model that is, the business of you. So it's based around what you want to be known for and the people that you want to serve. And that's it.
I want to talk about your book strategy because the Youpreneur book did really, really, really well, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a lot of reallys. Really, 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 really well.
It did exceptionally well. That's a big boy word for really, 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 just so you know, Dave.
It did fabulously well in an exceptional way.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you built the virtual assistant business and then you wrote the virtual freedom book. Am I right that you built the Youpreneur business and then after the Youpreneur book came out?
Correct.
So a lot of people do this the other way for whatever reason. They write the book, then they build the coaching program or the service offering behind it. Talk about the flip and how you've engineered that.
So with Rise of the Youpreneur, which is the second book, that's the full title of the book. All I did there was just follow. Actually, I did something a little differently, but ultimately what I did is I followed the formula for the first book. And the first book was build out the company and then write the book based off of the experience that you gain from being in the industry and building that type of company. Plus, way more importantly here, the case studies from your clients, because they're the ones that are utilizing the VAs, right? And so Virtual Freedom has done even better than Rise of the Youpreneur. Virtual Freedom is bordering on about 130,000 copies sold now across a number of different kind of formats and languages and things like that, which is just phenomenal. I never even expected to sell like 1,000 copies, David. I mean, you know what it takes to sell books. And it's like to be here now, yes, okay, warranted 7 years later, but to be here 7 years later and saying we're about to hit 130,000 copies, it's kind of crazy. Rise of the Youpreneur, though, the only thing I did differently here with the second book was, yes, we had Youpreneur.com, which had opened up initially as a membership site for people that wanted to build a profitable personal brand. And that's still at the core of everything that we do with the Youpreneur brand. But it was just a $49 a month membership. That's what it was. And you had coaching call with me every month. You had training every month. There was a forum, usual sort of membership stuff. But what happened was in the first 6 to 7 months or so of kind of just throwing all this content into the member portal, we started to get feedback from people that it was very, very overwhelming when they first joined and they got involved and they kind of logged in and like, where the heck do I start here? Like, this is no good. And that's when we developed, going into the second year, we developed the Youpreneur roadmap, which was built around a 3-step framework of build, market, and monetize. And that made the basis for Rise of the Youpreneur on how you'd build, market, and monetize a personal brand business. But we went even one step further as well, where what we did is we built it out after we had fully built out the roadmap inside of the membership itself. So actually, Rise of the Youpreneur, the entire book was written in like 60, 70 days. It didn't take long at all. And yeah, I worked with a content writer to help me kind of like structure it to get it out nice and quickly. And there was a reason why we needed to speed publish it, because we had our first large conference, the Youpreneur Summit, the inaugural summit, which was planned for November 2017 in London. And I had like 400 people. We sold out like 5 months before the event was even due to take place. And I was like, I got to get this book ready for this first one. And nobody knew we were working on it. It was a complete surprise. And we gave everybody a limited edition hardcover of the book at the event for free. And people lost their minds over that. So it was rushed out, but it's still great. We looked at it actually last year to see whether or not it needed an update, and it's still holding really firm. So yeah, I think we're at about, I'm going to say about 40,000 copies or so sold now. It's in like 6 different languages, I think, already. I just got the Japanese version a couple of weeks ago, and that's just crazy to see a book in Japanese. You can't understand any of it, but it's your book nonetheless.
Right.
That's kind of crazy, But yeah, the book, it really has led now to everything else that we do in terms of our coaching programs and, everything else as well. So it's still the core. That build, market, monetize framework is so important. And it's what we preach above and beyond everything else.
So I want to dig into that, but I want to also comment on your Japanese book. Not only can you not understand a word, but you're holding it the wrong way. Yeah. You just opened the back of the book. And it's upside down.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with these people? All right, let's go into the framework, because this is just pure genius. And I love everything you do. Can I just say that? Is that all right?
Sure.
I love everything you do.
That's
so
good.
goddamn smart. Plus it has a British accent. So now it's 20% smarter. 20% smarter. Okay.
Yeah. Some of my best friends in the United States say to me, like, when you're up on stage and you're speaking, do you ever forget, like what you're going to say? Because, it's like a speaker yourself, anybody tuning in more than every now and then, you could do a talk 30 times and there'll be a time where you just blank and you're like, oh God, what comes next? I forgot. There was a story I wanted to tell, but it's gone. I can't remember now what the punchline is to that joke, et cetera, et cetera. So I always joke and say that, if I ever get lost in my presentation, I just drop in, and this only works in America, by the way. Okay. It only works in America. But as a Brit, I'll just drop in anything to do with the Queen that usually gets people's attention, or I can say the word bloody or bollocks. One of those three things. Yeah. And it gives me just the right amount of laughter to be able to collect my thoughts and get back to where I need to be.
I like it. Bloody, bollocks. And if you want a third one, my recommendation, again, from the American side,
sure.
Biscuit.
Biscuits. Yes, biscuits. Yeah.
Biscuit, of course, here is a cookie, chips, fries. Yep. It's a whole thing. We don't have that kind of time right now.
No.
But take me into phase one, which is build. I'm 45 years old. I wish. I'm 45 years old. I'm thinking of maybe, I've done my 20 years at IBM. I meet Chris Ducker at an event, or I'm online and I kind of bump into all the great things that you're doing. And I say, I've always wanted to build a business around my expertise, maybe a little coaching, a little consulting, maybe write a book, maybe go on the speaking circuit. No idea where to start. How do we build this personal brand business? What are the first few steps that you coach people through?
Yeah, look, I mean, we only have a certain amount of time here, but there's 2 or 3 things that a lot of people kind of rush over in terms of fundamentals. And this is one of the reasons why we put together our Youpreneur Academy, which is our foundational course. It's all the really simple stuff. It's basic training. We've all seen the Police Academy movies. It's basic training, right? And ultimately, if you don't get the foundations right, and anybody smart enough knows this anyway, but if you don't get the foundations right, sooner or later, things will start to crumble. So our job, not only as entrepreneurs, but also as marketers, is to make sure that we're going things, with our eyes wide open. So the first thing I always say to everybody is, you got to understand what you want to be known for. If you can't get that straight in your mind, you'll never be able to help a single soul out there, because the power of niching down is so incredibly important for everybody, particularly in, the authoring, the speaking, and the coaching kind of side of our industry as experts. The more niche down you are, actually, the more work you're going to get, the more people you can serve, and the more money you will make. People think, well, I'm going to niche down. That's I'm cutting away at the fat there. No, not at all. Actually, you want to cut the fat away in the right way and just get to the juicy stuff, right? So figuring out what you want to be known for, first and foremost. And then secondly, putting together a solid customer avatar, right? You marry those 2 things up. And this is exercise 1 and I think exercise 3.
But everybody wants to skip it because it's hard. It's not hard sexy work. It's hard thinking.
Yeah, it's not sexy. And that's why I always say, to get sexy, you've got to do the not sexy work.
Ooh, right? That's good.
And that's honestly what it comes down to. So figure out, number 1, what you want to be known for. And then number 2, who it is you're going to be serving. And this is where the power of niching down comes into play. You could say, well, I'm going to be a health coach. Okay, great. But there's a gazillion of them. Start niching things down. Okay, well, I'm going to be a health coach that helps men. Okay, now you've got a slightly smaller population to play with, but I'm going to be a health coach that helps men that are 40 plus. Okay, now we're going even further down that rabbit hole. That's fantastic. Or what if you're a coach, a health coach that works with men in their 40s coming back from surgery? How about that? Now we've got a niche that our messaging can become so concise, so finite that when people read our blog posts, understand what we're all about on our social media, follow us, and listen to us on, Apple Podcasts or view our videos on YouTube, you are talking directly to that dude in his 40s that's just coming back from a hernia operation or from a hip replacement or from whatever it might be, right? Absolutely huge to niche down. They're the two biggies of the build foundations.
Enormous. And I could not agree more. Hey, good looking. Are you currently getting paid to speak? Would you like to ramp that up? We can help. Book a confidential speaker strategy call with our team at doitmarketing.com/call, and let's see what we might do together. The call is free, but the results may be priceless. Let's talk about marketing, because market is pillar number 2. My experience, Chris, is that most youpreneurs, they think they have to exhaust themselves with a million different marketing jobs. They have to be on every platform. They have to build a list, do webinars, get PR, get on TV, have a podcast, be on podcasts. There's a million marketing jobs that they assign to themselves. Help us with some of the sane advice, not the insane advice, the sane advice that you help your clients with.
And we should caveat this by saying that all of that stuff is good and a lot of it will help you, but also that no one person can do all of that on their own. And even if you've got 1 or 2 people helping you out, you're still going to be relatively limited in terms of time spent on particular projects. So the good thing is that, we have expertise under our belt. And because of that, we have the ability to be able to provide value to people that don't know as much as we know, right? It's that simple. So we can create the type of content that we know is going to help folks. But here's the big thing. Too many people are trying to create too many bits of content too regularly. And I think consistency is key, yes. But if you're saying, let's say, for example, you create one piece of content. Let's say you're going to do a YouTube video, just for argument's sake. You're going to create one YouTube video every single week. That's 4 pieces of content over the course of the month. Now, that's okay. But sooner or later, what's going to happen is you're going to have a certain amount of critical mass on your YouTube channel. You're going to burn through a lot of different topics that you probably could and should have gone into things a little bit more in-depthly on as and when you published videos. And because of that, you're kind of burning through what you can talk about too quickly. So my focus is actually less content, more marketing. I would rather create 2 pieces of content every single month and have a 2-week period in between those 2 pieces to be able to market the heck out of them every single time. And you'll find actually that not only will you get more people, in this case, viewing those 2 YouTube videos within that month compared to 4, but also because of the fact that you're not on this consistent content hamster wheel of having to knock out something every single week, the quality of the content that you create is going to be that much more valuable. And that means more people are going to watch it all the way through, which means on YouTube, you're going to get recommended on other people's channels, which means you'll get more viewers more organically and your channel will grow quickly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, less content, more marketing. That's the way to go. And for me, if you got to pick one particular style of content right now to create, video is probably the way you want to go. Even if you're not super experienced in being in front of a camera, it's something that we're all going to have to kind of bite the bullet on and do more and more and more video content. By the end of 2022, something like 90% of all Google results or search results are going to be promoting video content. Instagram has just announced that they're going to float from a photo sharing app to more of a video entertainment style. So it's happening whether we like it or not. People want to watch video. It's really that simple. Yeah. The other thing is that, when you create content in a video format, first of all, you've got a rich format of content right there, which can then be repurposed a lot easier into smaller bite-sized chunks of video clips. You can rip the audio and turn it into a podcast. You can get it transcribed, turn it into an ebook or a blog post, and so on and so on and so on. So it's not a bad move to start with video.
Very wise. All right. Pillar number 3, monetize. Another crazy making area. Chris, I don't know what to charge. Chris, should I charge $100 an hour? Chris, I'm brand new at this. Shouldn't I do a whole bunch of crap for free? Unpack as much of that craziness as you would enjoy.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's called Monetize for a reason. So you don't do anything for free.
Memo to me. Monetize does not mean free. It does not start with free. It does not 100%, include free.
100%. Now, look, the fact is actually that, our job here as leaders, as experts, is to attract people into our ecosystems so that we can serve them. And the fact of the matter is that all the people that come into our ecosystems will be coming into it at different stages of their own personal journey. And here we go. Here's a newsflash. They don't care about you. They just care about themselves. But it's our job as the coaches, the authors, the speakers, the leaders, the experts, to make sure that no matter where they are in that ecosystem and on their own journey, that we've got something that can ultimately help them. Many years ago, I'll tell a very quick story here to prove this point. Many, many years ago, I was in Hong Kong with my wife. And we've been to Hong Kong a whole bunch of times. And we know the place very, very well. But there was a brand new restaurant that had just opened up in a district in Hong Kong called Wan Chai. And a friend of mine who used to work in Hong Kong said, you've got to go check out this new restaurant. It's only been open for a few months. It's the best dim sum you'll ever have in your life. And when I say that, I mean it is the best dim sum you will ever have in your life. Great. I'm sold. So me and my wife go along one afternoon to go have this dim sum. We've been talking about it all morning. Can't wait to get to this restaurant. We turn up and it's closed. It's closed. It's closed because there was some sort of a water leak or something along those lines, right? So the place is closed. Now, what happened? Did we go back to our hotel hungry or did we go eat dim sum somewhere else? Well, I wanted dim sum. So I'm going to go to another restaurant and we'll get some dim sum somewhere else. Our job is to make sure that our restaurant is open. And there's always something on the menu that somebody wants or needs from us as and when they discover us. Because if our restaurant's not open, they will go to another coach or a speaker or author and they'll go buy from them, plain and simple. So with monetization, in terms of charging, well, you charge what you're worth. Plain and simple. You charge what you're worth. And by the way, also, people aren't paying for an hour of your time, for example. They're paying for the results that hour will get them, right? So it's all very, very relevant based on who you're serving, how you're helping them, where they're at in their stage of life, et cetera, right? So the big thing is I can't say to you, David, I know you very well. I know you're a pure professional in the speaking world, in the marketing world. I could say to you, dude, you should be charging one-on-one, private, 20 grand an hour. Now you might think, well, yeah, okay, I guess I probably am worth 20 grand an hour, but it's going to be tough to find people to pay 20 grand for an hour's worth of coaching. I'll charge 5 grand and I'll just find 4 people to make the 20 grand. Well, that's okay. And that makes total sense. I won't argue with that mindset. But now you've got to find 4 people. Whereas before you only had to find 1 person. You see what I'm saying? So it's all relative to who you are, what niche you're in, what competitors you have, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately you want to charge what you feel you are worth based on your experience, et cetera, et cetera. The most important thing here, though, is to make sure that you're building out what we call the Youpreneur ecosystem. So this is an ecosystem, products, services, and experiences that help people no matter where they're at on that journey that I mentioned. So, we do a live event because that's part of our ecosystem. We do coaching because that's part of our ecosystem. We've got books, we've got merchandise, we've got courses, we do paid masterclasses. All of these things are part of our ecosystem because there are some people that want our help, need our help, but would never want to hire us as a coach, but they'd love to come to a live event and pick up our books. Likewise, there's somebody who hates live events. Maybe they're an introvert, but they still want to be able to learn how to build a business based around their experience and their expertise. Well, that's where the coaching comes into play, right? So it's all about having different options for different folks.
What a great episode. Wowza. Tell you what, if you want to ramp up your revenue as an expert who speaks professionally, you should really check out our free online training at doitmarketing.com/webinar. So let's talk about that ecosystem. And because I know the way that you teach this is really unique and really, really smart. The classic sort of internet marketing model that a lot of folks subscribe to. And there's pros and cons, hey, let's do a tripwire for $7. And then, hey, let's sell them like a little mini course for $27. And then let's sell them something else for $97. And by the time you made any real money, it's like the 17th sale. And there's like 3 people that are in line to buy the really expensive thing. Talk about how is this different than the $7, $27, and how do people get ramped up quickly when they work with you?
Well, this comes back to knowing what I want to be known for personally and what we are known for in Youpreneur, as well as obviously understanding who it is that we're helping. So we have 2 things that you can buy, and only 2 things. That's it. The first thing is a $500 digital course. It's the Youpreneur Academy. And that is for anybody that's making less than $3,000 per month in revenue. Nice, easy way of cutting it off, right?
Yeah.
Make less than 3K. This is what you need. You need the basics. You need the foundational basics is what you need. If you do 3 to 5K and upwards, you're ready for the Youpreneur Incubator, which is our group coaching program. And that is a one-time fee for the entire year of $2,500. You get 12 months access. You get, monthly calls. We've got experts. We've got a quarterly mastermind that we event, like a full-day event that we do every quarter as well. And that actually has what we call our 6-figure incubator roadmap attached to it, which breaks down all of our individual trainings and lessons and takeaways and guest slots and all that sort of stuff that will help you go from, we have 3 different levels. So we've got 3 to 5, 5 to 7, and 7 to 10K a month. Once you get to 10K plus per month, we're not quite done yet. There is one more thing that's on the back end of everything that they do. So from the outside looking in, as somebody who enters our ecosystem, you've got 2 things that we can help you with, the academy and the incubator. But once you get to a $100,000 6-figure business fundamentally, at that point, it is on a invite basis that you potentially get invited to join my personal high-end roundtable mastermind. And that is, there's never any more than 25 people in that. We also, we probably have like an 85% retention for this year on year. And it ultimately gets people from 6 to 7 figures and beyond. And that's invite only. So obviously I appreciate that, there'll be a certain amount of people that do get up to 6 figures that either A, can't get into the round table because there's no space, or can't get into the round table because they're not invited to do so. And I can talk about the invite thing in a minute if you want.
Sure.
And at that point, they might go to another restaurant, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If I wasn't okay with that, then there would be something in place for them not to slip through that crack.
Right.
But I'm okay with that at that point. And that's the entire Youpreneur business model, quite frankly. That's everything we do. Now, yes, again, there's live events, there's one-off, one-day events, there's masterclasses we do online. And yeah, $47 for a 90-minute masterclass. They might end up going ahead and buying the course or becoming a member of the incubator. But ultimately, the $7 thing, anything tripwire, like tripwire, that term is horrific. Like, we're going to trip you up and get you into our paid funnel.
Right.
Like, just give the bloody thing away for free. If you're only charging $7, it can't be that good anyway. Right?
Exactly. Well, and there's nothing wrong with those things. A lot of people see that on the outside and they don't understand there's a strategy behind it.
Sure.
So doing it without a strategy is just plain ridiculous.
Yes.
Doing it with a strategy or with an upgrade path makes perfect sense. Let's talk about the invite only. I know we're running out of time here. I'm seeing the sands in the hourglass are running out, but I definitely want to hear about the invite strategy, and then we'll wrap it up with some big picture close.
Yeah. So here's my thought process on this. And it's a little selfish. but that's okay. You want to know why it's okay? Because it's my business. It's really that simple. I would say, I've been building businesses since 2004. And I'd say probably for the first, for the first 10, 12 years or so, I didn't really think about myself all that much. I thought about my team first and foremost, and then kind of my clients and then suppliers and so on and so on and so on. I knew that I was doing something good. I knew that I was helping a whole bunch of people create great careers for themselves. And I was kind of happy with that. And obviously the profits attached to doing that, right? It's like what Zig used to say, you can have everything in life you want if you help as many other people get what they want. And that was kind of like my mindset. However, I will say, maybe I'm just getting old, but I will say that over the last kind of, 5-6 years or so, I'm starting to get a little bit more selfish with things. And I think I've earned the right to be a little selfish. After all, it is my business. So the invite only comes about from the first year that we did the roundtable, which was 2018. And there were 2 or 3 people, and we didn't have the invite only, by the way. If you wanted it, you go through an application, and if you kind of ticked all the boxes and you paid the money, you were in, kind of thing, right? And the first year that we did it, we had probably like 2 or 3 people in there that were just not nice people. I didn't particularly enjoy being around them. I didn't particularly really want to help them all that much, to be honest with you. But I'm a man of my word, and they signed up. They pay for the year. I'm going to coach them. It is what it is. But going into the second year and beyond, it was going to be 100% my call, no one on the team, 100% invite only. So again, there might be people that come into the Youpreneur incubator who build 6-figure businesses, and hey, fair play to you. Like if you build a 6-figure business and it's not particularly easy, it's easier today to do that than it was 5-10 years ago, but it's still pretty hard to bring in a 6-figure business in my mind. And if you do that, fair play to you. But if I personally don't want to carry on helping you in a heck of a lot more intimate setting, one-on-ones, things like that, then that's my call as the coach. That's my call as the business owner. So the overarching kind of message here in this is that it's okay to be a little selfish from time to time. It genuinely, honestly is. And I think if I'd have seen that a little further down or a little further sooner rather in my journey, I think not only would have made life a little easier in the first 7 or 8 years, I think I probably would have made more money as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of selfishness, but also a way to be able to kind of self-select the folks that I spend the most amount of kind of more intimate time with.
Totally. And it's really better for the clients because then every client is your favorite client and you're not like, oh boy, her again. So really it's about selfishness.
Yeah. And the other thing is,
you want people that you really enjoy.
Exactly. And the other thing is one of the big things that I think about when we have spots that open up, there could be maybe 3 or 4 spots that open up each year. I look at them and I'm like, okay, who would complement who is renewing? Who'd complement, who are the 3 or 4 folks that, we don't have someone who's in the legal game, for example. And they're like, is there anybody that's in the legal game that could help on that side of things? Or we don't have someone that's like 100% on, systems and processes. Is there somebody that potentially wants to come in that can tick that box? Because I know en masse that will make the group so much more stronger as well.
Totally. Well, our time is at a close, my friend. That was a fantastic final thought, though, about really get a little bit selfish. It'll help you. It'll help your clients. I know you've got some resources, some links, some places that people can go to get connected and stay connected to more Chris Ducker brilliance. Where can we send people?
Well, you can go to chrisducker.com. I wouldn't be much of a personal brand entrepreneur if I didn't have my own domain name. So chrisducker.com is a good spot. There is the personal branding roadmap that you can download for free on that website. We've had over, I think, 15,000 people download it now in the last 3-4 years. Great little guide, 100% for free. It'll give you a good overview of that build, market, monetize framework and kind of set you up to thinking a little bit more seriously about this as a potential. Anything
else? Connect on LinkedIn, hang out, come to your house.
Honestly, my big kind of social media jam is Instagram. I don't do a lot on LinkedIn. Instagram is kind of where I feel the most at home. It's where I show the behind the scenes of the business and what we're up to and things like that as well. So just follow me on Instagram at Chris Ducker. If you're a podcast listener, just search for Youpreneur and you'll be able to download and listen to that show as well.
And pick up the book and just start stalking. Stalk this man online. You will thank me later. Well, Chris, it's great to have you on, my friend. We have to have you back. Literally, we got like zillions of other things to talk about. So this was totally fantastic.
Brother. Anytime.
We're going to duct tape you to a chair and bring you back.
I look forward to it.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.